Breach18 from breach18.com. Have you ever been in a post-apocalyptic, zombie-filled winter? No? Well, we're about to take a look at a game that's exactly the situation. The thing is you're meant to be scared of the zombies, but when you're in a colony, when there's a betrayer amongst you, you end up more scared of each other. And when food is so scarce that it's constantly on your mind and you're always fighting to fend zombies and starvation away from you, it's just one of the many things you have to fear in this game. So, what are we waiting for? Let's take a look at it.
So this is the epic game, Dead of Winter. Finally managed to get my hands on this. I've had a pre-order down what seems like for ages now, and it's finally up for general release. So I picked up my copy as soon as I could. So as you can see, we've got a colony, which is here, and we've got the locations at the top here. The decks of cards have already been pre-sorted, so basically they just have the location at the bottom there, so that's how you know. So they'll all have police station on them. The other thing worth to note is each location will have what items are available at it, so going from the most likely to the least likely. So just shows you there. These spaces are for player characters, and these spaces are for the zombies. These are for noise markers, so that just gives you a quick overview of the different locations. So right, I've chosen 2 characters. There's my character name there, that's her influence, and then that's her ability at fighting, and that's the ability at searching, and tells you a special ability usually down at the bottom there. Each player will have one of these. It just tells you what the round summary is, and basically the round summary is comprised of 2 parts: a player turn phase and a colony phase. And this is just a brief guide to what actions you can do on your turn. These are actions that require an action dice, and these actions don't require an action dice. And this is just a reminder to the player to the right of you to take a crossroads card. What happens is each person starts off with 1 dice at the beginning, and you get an additional dice for each character you control. So at the beginning of the game, you'll usually have 3 dice. And at the beginning, you will roll those dice, and they will go in your unused section of your player guide there. Out of your 2 characters, you'll choose a group leader and you'll choose a follower. And you can put the leader to the side and the follower just at the bottom there. Basically, we're aiming to match or beat the number of what we're trying to do. So in order to attack, for example, we need to get at least a 2 or above in order to do that. And the same for search, we need a 2 or above in order to search. And we would then look at our dice and go, yeah, we've got a 6, a 2 and a 3, so I can use a 2, put it in your used action dice, and then that does the successful attack. On your turn, you can do an action, well, several actions. You can attack, search, build a barricade, clean waste, attract zombies. They all require action dice. Also actions that don't require an action dice, you can play a card, add a card to the crisis, move a survivor, spend food tokens, request, hand off, and vote to exile. So for each game, you have an objective, and on this objective, it will tell you how to set it up and what the victory conditions are, and at the bottom, it'll tell you time, so it's a short game. So it'll tell you to set up the morale tracker on a certain number. This goes from 10 to 0. When it gets to 0, you lose the game. And here are your number of rounds. And again, on the objective, it'll tell you where to set this. When it gets down to 0, and if you haven't completed the main objective, then again, you lose the game. Now it's time to look at crisis. So within the rounds themselves, you draw a crisis from this deck here. And this will basically tell you what the current crisis in the colony is. It's illness. And we fail. If we fail, we place 1 wound token on all non-exiled survivors and you lose 1 morale. Losing morale isn't great. So this is, this could potentially be really bad. Optional, add 2 additional medicine cards to gain 1 morale from preventing the crisis. So you can actually choose to prevent the crisis from happening. Otherwise, you have to get medicine equal to number of non-exiled players. On first glance, you'll be working together to try and achieve your main objective goal. Anytime you can contribute to the crisis here by putting the required item, so in this case it'll be medicine, but you're always playing the cards face down, and then at the end of the round these cards are then shuffled and then flipped over. So someone may say they're putting medicine in, but that's not necessarily the case if they're the betrayer. It certainly heats the game up in that respect. Everybody needs to be fed. So you need 1 food per 2 player characters. And this goes in here. So every round you need to make sure that there's enough food to feed everyone in the colony. And when I say in the colony, I mean literally in this colony area here. So if they're at different locations, they're not taken into consideration for this. Once you've put the food token in here, so these tokens, like that, the cards that you have put in 1 food, so we'd put that in the waste pile. When the waste pile gets up to 10 cards, you lose 1 morale. Let's have a look at the zombies themselves. So again, on the main objective, it will tell you how many zombies you start off with. In the case of this one, it told us to start off with 6 at the colony. So we'd just take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I can count to 6. These are all the different entrances to the colony. So these are all the zombies banging on the doors, getting to the colony. When zombies are assigned to the colony, you'll always go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then on to the next available space. When these spaces run out, that's when they start to break in, which is bad. Basically, you don't want that to happen. So you need to keep on top of these and keep those zombies at bay. This game is cruel. This is your exposure dice. This is a dice that is rolled when you move between locations and when you attack. So although as long as you've got you match the attack number on your character card, it's always successful. To attack, you still have to roll this exposure die. Some player characters actually have a special rule where it will say something like you don't need to roll the exposure die when you attack, which is a huge bonus because this isn't a dice that you particularly want to be rolling, because when I say it's cruel, I mean it's cruel. See this little tooth symbol here? You roll that baby and that's it. Your player's dead. And I mean dead. There's no if, buts or maybes. That is it. So not only do you die when you roll this tooth, there's the whole spread effect as well. So as if it isn't just a kick in the teeth, literally, that your player is dead, it's a chance that it could spread. So you can choose to kill off any player that is in the same location as the person that's just been killed. If you kill the player that's in the location that's next in line to be infected, and that basically goes on the influence number there. So the lower the influence number, that puts them next in line to get infected. If you don't kill that character off straight away, then there's chances is that it can spread and infect to them, and then so on and so forth. This will continue all down to all of the players in that location. So it's really unforgiving in that respect. If you roll a wound, you take a wound. You take 3 wounds and you're dead. You can roll frostbite, and you take a frostbite wound, and then every turn that you begin with a frostbite wound, you gain another one up until 3, and then you die. So there's a lot of dying in the game, but that's not a problem because you can draw from the character deck and have a new character. You can search as many times as you're able to pay for the action die, but you can only choose one of the items that you've actually searched for. So you can search 3 times, but you'd still only be able to pick one. But for each additional time you search, you actually get a noise token, and that's just placed on here. And all that means is that when it comes to the colony phase, for each noise token, you have to roll below a set number, and if you don't meet that, then you're going to get additional zombies coming in here. If you run out of spaces for the zombies, the player with the lowest influence number on the top of the card there gets bitten. So it's something to bear in mind. Okay, so Crossroads cards. This is a Crossroads game. This is the kind of main mechanic of the game that makes it stand out from a lot of other games that are out there, especially zombie games. Every player turn, the person to your right will draw one of these, and they will secretly read it, and if the player whose turn it is at the moment meets the conditions of this Crossroads card, then something will happen. You have the group objective, and now this is your personal one. If you have Betrayal at the bottom, well done, congratulations, you are the group's betrayer. This will tell you what you need to do to win the game. For most normal cards, the objective will be for them is to win the main objective and have the most equipped items or something along that line. But these remain secret. As an action, you can choose to do a group vote on exiling a player. So when someone is exiled, they'll take an exiled card, and it will basically just say, if you are not the betrayer, this is what happens, and if you are the betrayer, this is what happens. When you choose to build a barricade, you just put them on one of these spots, and then when it goes round to assigning zombies, we just remove the barricade and the zombie doesn't get placed. So you're just taking the barricades off.
So why is it that I like Dead of Winter? Well, okay, so the theme's been done before. It's not anything original. But the Crossroads cards make it original. It completely brings in to question whether, you know, kind of where your moral compass lies, you know. Do you take in an extra mouth to feed, or, you know, do you leave this person to pretty much get killed by zombies? It's just something we don't have to think about in everyday life, and the fact that this game includes that is so cool. Let's face it, this game is harsh. I mean, the exposure dice just completely, it doesn't take any prisoners. I mean, you roll that tooth, you're dead. And then once someone's been bitten, they potentially could die also. So then you have to decide, well, do I kill this character now, or do I risk them getting infected and possibly spreading it around? But we're going to have to roll with something coming. It's no good. The phone lines have been cut.